1969 Ford Mustang. When America learned to dream, in V8 dawn, breaks across an empty highway, turning the asphalt gold and the horizon into a promise. I rest my hands on a wood-rimmed steering wheel, worn smooth by decades of stories, and the 428 Cobra Jet beneath the hood sends a slow, steady tremor through the car. Through me. The shaker scoop wobbles with each pulse of the engine, a reminder that this machine is alive, breathing, waiting. The leather smells like old summers and younger versions of ourselves. The analog gauges glow softly, chrome toggles click with a satisfying resistance, and every vibration feels like a heartbeat from another era, an era when freedom had a roar, not a ringtone. I ease onto the throttle, and the Mustang answers with a sound that once defined a generation, deep, throaty, unapologetic. It echoes across the desert like a memory calling you home. This isn't just a car. This is 1969, revived by fire and gasoline. This is the Mustang that grew up, toughened up, and took America with it. Longer, broader, meaner, a silhouette so iconic it could be recognized in a rearview mirror at dusk. A fastback roofline, drawn like a streak of speed across paper. A V8 soundtrack as raw as the decade itself. This is the machine that carried rebellion, freedom, and youth on its back. And today, it carries us. Back through time, back to when roads were gateways, engines were voices, and the world felt wide open. This is the 1969 Ford Mustang. And this is where the journey begins. The legendary 1969 Ford Mustang, a road trip through time. The highway stretches empty before me, painted gold by the first light of dawn. My hands rest on the wood-rimmed steering wheel of a 1969 Ford Mustang sports roof, and I can feel history humming through my fingertips. The engine settles into a low, purposeful growl, not aggressive, but alive, conscious. The high-back bucket seats cradle me in worn leather that smells of old roads and forgotten summers. Through the windshield, the distinctive bulge of the shaker hood scoop trembles with each breath of the 428 Cobra Jet beneath it, literally shaking with raw mechanical heartbeat. This isn't just a car, this is a time machine, and today we're going back. The dashboard before me is a beautiful relic, wood-grain trim catching the morning sun, chrome toggles and analog dials that click and sweep with analog honesty. No computers here, no screens, just steel, glass, and intent. I press the accelerator, and the Mustang responds with a throaty roar that echoes across the empty desert. This is what freedom sounded like in 1969. The year everything changed. By the time 1969 rolled around, Ford knew the Mustang needed to evolve. The original pony car had captured America's heart in 1964, but competitors were closing in. So Ford went back to the drawing board and emerged with something bolder, meaner, more substantial. The '69 Mustang stretched 3.8 inches longer than its predecessor and gained nearly half an inch in width. It put on weight too. This was no longer the nimble dancer of '64. This was a heavyweight boxer with style to match its punch. The front end received a dramatic makeover with quad headlamps stacked in chrome bezels, giving the car an aggressive, hungry look. The iconic galloping pony logo shifted off-center on the grille, flanked by rectangular parking lights. But it was the sports roof fastback body that truly defined the year. That long, swooping roofline flowing into the deck lid created one of the most recognizable silhouettes in automotive history. Convex side panels added muscle to the haunches, and suddenly, the Mustang looked like it was moving even when standing still. I glance at myself in the rear-view mirror, framed by that fastback rear window, and I understand why people fell in love. The Mach 1 revolution. Cruising through a mountain pass now, I think about the Mach 1, the variant that truly embodied the performance spirit of '69. Picture this: reflective body stripes running the length of the car, a matte black hood with a simulated scoop, NASCAR-style twist-down hood pins gleaming in chrome. At the rear, dual exhausts announced your arrival before you even turned the corner, and a pop-open gas cap added a racing touch. The Goodyear polyglass tires with their raised white letters were the cherry on top of this muscle car sundae. Inside, the Mach 1 delivered deluxe appointments that made you feel special every time you slid behind the wheel. but it was what you chose under that hood that really mattered. The base 302 Windsor V8 delivered 220 honest horsepower, enough for spirited driving. Step up to the 351 Windsor, and you got 250 or 290 horses depending on carburation. The 390 FE Big Block brought 320 horsepower and tire-smoking torque. But the king, the 428 Cobra Jet, rated conservatively at 335 horsepower but actually producing something closer to 410. Insurance companies didn't need to know the real numbers. And then there was the shaker. That functional hood scoop mounted directly to the air cleaner, protruding through the hood, shaking and trembling with engine vibration. It was mechanical theater, visceral and intoxicating. Order the drag pack option, and Ford added an oil cooler, stronger crankshaft, and either a 3.90 or 430 rear axle ratio, turning your Mach 1 into a drag strip warrior that could still get you to work on Monday. Vrikse twins. The sun climbs higher as I roll into a dusty gas station, and I think about the rarest, most coveted '69 Mustangs, the Boss twins. The Boss 302 was Ford's answer to the SCCA Trans Am Racing Series, a homologation special that needed to sell 1,000 units to qualify. They built 1628. With its hockey stick side stripes, front spoiler, and rev-happy 302 engine tuned for road racing, the Boss 302 was precision where the Cobra Jet was power. It carved canyons with surgical accuracy. But the Boss 429, that was something else entirely. NASCAR demanded Ford homologate their massive 429 semi-Hemi engine for racing, so Ford did, by shoehorning it into the Mustang. They had to widen the shock towers and modify the front suspension to fit the enormous engine. Only 859 were built in 1969, each one assembled by contractor Carcraft in Brighton, Michigan. Today, they're worth more than most houses. The Boss 429 was never about balanced handling. It was about putting NASCAR technology on the street and daring anyone to keep up. The other side of the coin. Back on the highway, windows down, I consider the full spectrum of what 1969 offered. Not everyone wanted or could afford a fire-breathing muscle machine. For those folks, Ford created the Grande, a luxury-focused hardtop with an extra 55 pounds of sound-deadening material, softer suspension tuning, and upgraded interior appointments, including that beautiful wood-grain trim I'm touching right now. They sold 22,882 Grande models, proof that comfort and class had their place in the Mustang lineup. At the opposite end, Ford built approximately 50 units of the Mustang E, an economy special with the 250 cubic inch thrift power inline, 6 making 155 horsepower, a 2.33 rear axle ratio for highway cruising, and no air conditioning option. It was a Mustang for the budget conscious, though so few were made that they're incredibly rare today. The engine options read like a menu of American displacement, the 200 cubic inch 3.3L and 250 cubic inch 4.1L inline sixes for the frugal. The 302 Windsor V8 is the entry-level V8 at 220 horsepower. The 351 Windsor at 250 or 290 horsepower depending on intake setup, the 390 FE at 320 horsepower, and the legendary 428 Cobra Jet, available with the Super Cobra Jet drag pack for those who took their straight-line speed seriously. By 1970, Ford would introduce the 351 Cleveland engine with 2-barrel and 4-barrel versions, producing up to 300 horsepower, but that's another story. Shelby's Swan Song. The road opens up, and my mind drifts to Carroll Shelby's final bow with the Mustang platform. The 1969 Shelby GT350 and GT500 were dramatic departures, extended fiberglass noses stretching 4.5 inches beyond the standard Mustang, loop bumpers wrapping around integrated driving lights, 5 hood intakes feeding air to that hungry engine below. Available as both convertibles and sports roof fastbacks, these Shelbys were grand tours more than track weapons, weighted down by luxury equipment but still devastatingly fast. Here's a quirky footnote. Ford ended up with 789 unsold 1969 Shelby Mustangs. Rather than discount them, they updated them with 1970 features, different stripes, reflective side tape, chin spoiler, and re-serialized them as 1970 models. So technically, some 1970 Shelbys were actually built in 1969. The automotive world has always had its little secrets. the regional specials. I pull off onto a scenic overlook as afternoon light paints the landscape bronze. I think about the limited editions that make collector hearts race. The Twister Special, 96 units painted grabber orange, built exclusively for Kansas Ford dealers with unique hood stripes and decals. The Sidewinder, small numbers produced for Iowa and Nebraska dealers, available in grabber green, grabber blue, calypso coral, or grabber yellow. These regional specials showed Ford's willingness to create micro-market excitement, even if only a handful of people could own them. Today, finding an authentic Twister or Sidewinder is like discovering buried treasure. The soul of the machine. The sun hangs low now, transforming the Mustang's candy apple red paint into liquid fire. I've driven hundreds of miles, and the car hasn't missed a beat. The V8 rumbles contentedly, the transmission shifts with mechanical precision, and the steering, heavy and honest, connects me to the road in ways modern cars never could. There's no computer between my intentions and the car's response. When I brake, I feel the drums working. When I accelerate, I sense the carburetor opening, fuel rushing, pistons driving. An old rock song crackles through the AM radio, something about being born to be wild. And it feels perfect. The vintage steering wheel vibrates just enough to remind me there's a living engine up front. The high back seats support my back on this long journey. The wood grain dash reflects sunset colors like it's been waiting 56 years for this exact moment. Parking at the edge of forever, I find a clifftop overlooking a valley where shadows grow long and purple. I park the Mustang facing west, shut down the engine, and sit in the settling silence. The metal ticks as it cools. The leather creaks as I shift. Through the windshield, the world looks like a vintage postcard. The 1969 Ford Mustang wasn't just a car. It was a statement about power, about freedom, about refusing to compromise. It was longer, wider, heavier than what came before, but it was also more focused, more purposeful. Whether you bought a fuel-sipping inline-six coupe, a luxury Grande, a canyon-carving Boss 302, a drag-strip Mach 1, or a ultra-rare Boss 429, you bought into something larger than transportation. You bought into an idea. You bought into rebellion with a 428 soundtrack, style with convex sheet metal curves, craftsmanship in wood grain and chrome. You bought into America at a crossroads, caught between the innocence of the 60s and the uncertainty of the 70s, expressing itself the only way it knew how, with horsepower, attitude, and soul. I step out, lean against the fender still warm from the drive, and watch the sun disappear. Somewhere out there, other 69 Mustangs are growling to life, starting road trips of their own, carrying their drivers through time, 1 mile of empty highway at a time. And as long as these machines survive, as long as we preserve them, drive them, love them, we'll never truly lose touch with what made 1969 legendary. The Mustang's shaker hood catches the last light, still trembling, still alive, still legendary.